Nicholas Saint Nick, as his mother liked to tease him, sat in the pew on Christmas Eve, twirling the unlit candle in his hand as he listened to the Christmas story being read and sung throughout the service. He sat somewhat uncomfortably as the seats were full around him, people he did not know also listening and singing. And he was very aware of not touching the people around him. He hoped they did not notice how bad he was at singing. He could sing all the notes, but it took a while to find them, rising up and down the scale until he found the right one, or at least an approximation of it. Nick was not a religious man. In fact, quite the opposite. The only reason he was in that pew that night was because his mother loved Christmas. Thus the name. And she would make sure every Christmas Eve they would come to a church to a candlelight service. A single mom struggled to make ends meet. She often used food pantries, local agencies, to provide for her only child on her income from not 2, but 3 part-time jobs on minimum wage. But she always made Christmas special. Part of that was making sure they came to church for the Christmas Eve candlelight service. So Nick went to the candlelight service to honor her. And he went because she had died of cancer 6 months earlier. And the one person who loved him more than anyone else in the world was gone. Like a candle snuffed out, one moment shining, the next dimming, she went through the grueling treatments each and every day until the light just seemed to fade away into the darkness as he held her hand. It was almost anticlimactic. Nick was not a religious man. He wasn't a believer in any traditional sense. A professor of literature, he could deconstruct the best of narratives while still appreciating the power of story. He was more a follower of Joseph Campbell, C.S. Lewis, Charles Dickens, and J.R. Tolkien. He knew deep down that the truth of a story is not in its historicity, but that stories can sometimes express something more profound, more human, something more deeply and abidingly real than any truth. So it was important to be there in this sanctuary to honor his mother, surrounded by strangers, listening and singing singing the Christmas story he was full of, so many feelings: love, memory, regret, grief, even a touch of yearning for something, for possibility, for a light out of the darkness. And it had been a very dark year indeed. Long with the death of his mother, the world seemed filled with the darkness of anger and vitriol, with hateful actions towards black and brown people, those perceived as different, the vulnerable, the stranger. Where religion was used to turn neighbor against neighbor, and families fought over the politics of the moment. So as he sat in the pew listening to the Christmas story, he longed for some glimpse of light, of grace, of truth. And it came to him as he sat in that pew listening to the story of shepherds, angels, Mary and Joseph, and a vulnerable baby born in a manger. A word he learned, a word coined by J.R.R. Tolkien. Eucatastrophe. Tolkien spoke the power of eucatastrophe describing a sudden favorable turn of events in a story that averts impending doom, bringing intense joy and relief to the listener of the story. The eucatastrophe was a sudden and unexpected surprise, joyful and piercing, going from despair to hope. It was more a happy ending. It is a profound shift, a revelation of a deeper good. The Christmas story was a eucatastrophe, if ever there was one, of a God who chose love incarnate imbued in a vulnerable baby from the poorest of circumstances. It was a sudden, unexpected surprise, moving from despair to hope, and a revelation of a deeper good in the world than could be ever imagined. So when Nick turned to the stranger in the pew next to him to light his candle, he felt something true and full of grace. That the light prevails even in the darkness, that in fact his very own grief for his mother was love incarnate, that the angels sing to us all the time, that common, ordinary people become the embodiment and proclaimers of hope, that the light he shared with everyone around him was a eucatastrophe. Nick was not a religious man, but in that moment, he lifted his candle and he believed. Amen.